Biaggi took a few days off, then put in one test session day between Jerez and Nürburgring, and altogether it seemed to have paid off for the 23-year-old world champion. He topped the 250 class at the Nürburgring throughout the weekend. Friday, he complained of a brake problem, but it didn't seem to show. He was still quickest of all, topping the leaderboard, 0.677 seconds ahead of Ralf Waldmann. This was Biaggi's first visit to the track, and he put in 26 laps in the session, a figure beaten only by Waldmann. On Saturday, he found better suspension settings on the Chesterfield Aprilia and went quicker still, chopping 0.4 of a second off his previous best lap. Second fastest was local hero Ralf Waldmann on the HB Honda. He escaped a near crash on Friday when he ran off the curb at the new modified tight chicane. Waldmann finished 0.677 of a second down on Biaggi after Friday's qualifying session, after being down in 5th place after the morning's free practice. But Ralf closed the gap on the Italian on Saturday. Once again, he put in more laps in the session than anyone else other than the German Adi Stadler, and cut the gap to just under half a second, 0.434 of a second to be precise. Ralf shrugged off the suggestions that he was under pressure at his home Grand Prix. Maybe from the media, but I can live with that, he said. Tetsuya Harada, the championship leader, was down in 7th place after Friday's qualifying session, and life was made even more difficult when mechanical problems put him out of Saturday morning's untimed practice period after just 3 laps. Both he and team boss Wayne Rainey complained bitterly at the 250cc Class 1 bike rule that prevented the 1993 250 world champion completing his setup and tyre choice. Jean-Michel Bayle, on the other hand, was delighted with practice. Bayle, Biaggi's teammate on the Chesterfield Aprilia team, had been complaining bitterly about not having the same machinery as the Italian. Whether he has now or was merely wound up enough to go faster, it's difficult to know. Whatever the reason, the 26-year-old Frenchman, former motocross world champion, produced his best ever qualifying performance with 4th fastest time. 5th best was last year's 250 runner-up, Tadayuki Okada, who was left limping badly after a spill on Saturday afternoon. On Friday, the Japanese ace was 5th fastest, and even though he quickened his pace the following day, taking 4/5 of a second off his previous best, he was unable to climb any higher on the HRC Honda. Marcelino Lucchi, the Aprilia factory test rider, came in to replace the injured Roberto Locatelli, who crashed at Mugello the previous Monday. He qualified 6th best. Jean-Philippe Rougier had hurt his leg in a fall testing at Jerez after the Spanish Grand Prix, but the injury didn't appear to slow the Elf Honda man at the Nürburgring. Rougier slipped from 3rd fastest to 7th in the last 3 minutes of the final qualifying session, but he put that down to his rivals using soft compound tyres to do it. Life is never dull, though, when the young Carlos Checa is about. The 22-year-old Spaniard will probably drive his team chief, Sito Pons, completely insane by the end of the season. Checa was down in 17th place after the first qualifying session. On Saturday, he was determined to do much better. Almost immediately, he went 2nd fastest. Then had this crash, and with the controversial 1 bike per team rule operating, he could only watch as he slipped back down the leaderboard from 2nd fastest to 8th best. But just 1 second covered the top 8. Fellow Spaniard Luis Dantin, 3rd in Spain, also crashed on Saturday, but he too improved, climbing from 12th after Friday's session to finish 9th quickest following Saturday's practice, when he improved his lap times by over a second. Kenny Roberts Jr. was suffering from a stomach bug till Dr. Costa came up with some medicine. The treatment paid off. Young Kenny was 3rd fastest after Friday's qualifying, his best ever performance. But though he went quicker on Saturday afternoon, he still slipped down to 10th place on the grid. But the German Grand Prix, like many this season, will be remembered as much for the crashes as for the racing. The tyres were slow to get up to working temperature, and this spectacular spectacular get-off by Japanese 250 star Nobatsu Aoki was typical of just how quick the back end let go. Aoki this time got away with it, and fortunately, so did most of the rest. McDoohan topped the 500cc practice for the 5th time in a row this year, but the Australian didn't have a trouble-free practice session. On Friday afternoon, he crashed at speed when the rear tyre broke away. Like many riders, he'd been caught out by the Michelin tyres, taking longer than usual to warm up. He broke a finger on his left hand in 3 places in that fall. But the Iron Man bounced back on Saturday to beat the pain barrier and the opposition. And the 500cc reigning world champion grabbed pole position half a second faster than anyone else out on the track. Luca Cadalora took things easy on Friday, concerned about the number of fallers, and finished 5th fastest, 4/5 of a second off the pace. But with the Michelin production tyres on the front and back of the Marlboro Team Roberts Yamaha, he then went out to slice 1.5 seconds off Friday's previous best to go second quickest, just half a second behind Michael Doohan. Perhaps now the Marlboro Team Roberts men are going to be competitive. Daryl Beattie did a lot of testing at Jerez after the Spanish Grand Prix, including 100 laps on just one day. The Lucky Strike team were delighted with what they'd learned, particularly about suspension setup. Beattie was 3rd fastest at the end of the first timed qualifying session. But though Daryl went a full second faster on the Saturday, he remained in 3rd spot. Picking the right tyre was the name of the game again, and if Sean Emmett hadn't crashed earlier, it might have been easier. 4th quickest was the Italian Loris Capirossi on the Marlboro Team Pilleri Honda. He had been on pole after Friday's time session, but traffic stopped him having a real go on Saturday. This was the 3rd time this season that the 22-year-old Italian, having his first year in the 500cc class, had qualified on the front row of the grid. But so far, Loris has been unable to convert those great qualifying performances into top 3 finishes. But nobody should bet that it would be far too long now before he makes it to the podium. Loris Reggiani, victim of a fearsome crash at Jerez 2 weeks ago, shrugged off the pain to take the lightweight 400cc Aprilia into 5th place on the final qualifying leaderboard. He was disappointed. He wanted a front row spot for a good start. Shinichi Ito was 6th quickest. The Repsol Honda rider was regaining fitness and self-confidence after his pre-season Eastern Creek and Japanese Grand Prix crashes. So Ito was up in 4th place on the leaderboard after the first session. Like everyone else, he went quicker, taking over 1.7 seconds off his previous best, but he still dropped to 6th. Brazilian Alex Barros improved from 9th fastest on Friday to finish 7th best, chopping a staggering 1.7 seconds off his previous best. But he too was a faller, crashing on Saturday afternoon. The Brazilian still searching for more sponsorship to keep the Irv Kanemoto team running, though. He'd flown back home to South America in a bid to add to his list of backers. Big crashers like his get-off at the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka, though, have been very expensive. But with the undoubted talent, skill and experience of the young Brazilian, surely he'll land a sponsor that he and his team boss deserve very soon. Eighth best was Spanish Grand Prix 500 winner Alberto Puig. Unhappy with the cold conditions and the slippery track, the Fortuna Honda Ponsman was having problems getting the right setup. It was difficult to believe this was the man who'd wowed the crowd at Jerez and scored an impressive first Grand Prix victory. At the Nürburgring, he was in trouble. Two crashes on Friday, one on the free practice session and one in the afternoon's time session, left Alex Crivillé with a bruised and sore right foot. He was 7th fastest after the first session despite that spill. Crivillé, like so many riders, struggling to find the right tyre and the grip out on the circuit. Changes to the Repsol Honda suspension and gearing were in the wrong direction, and though only 9th best, the young Spaniard was confident he could go quicker in the race. Norifumi Abe was lucky to escape a crash when he ran over an unlucky rabbit during practice, but the Japanese youngster sliced 2.4 seconds off his lap times on Saturday to go from 11th to 10th.
Yeah, I can't say much. I just got to thank Dr. Costa and his crew up there. They helped me, no end. They got my finger back in line. It broke in three positions, and also my team, for modifying the bike a little bit and just helping me out to try and get going again. And also, I have to thank Dainese, even though Nankai are my leather sponsor, but Dainese helped me this weekend with modifying my gloves, and I appreciate that no end, because without that I would have found it very difficult to ride.
The commentators were calling Kazuta Sakata Mr. Angry after practice. No wonder. Friday was ruined when the team tried the wrong gearbox in the Aprilia. The reigning world champion was just 8th fastest. Then two crashes on Saturday, the first in the morning and the second just 2 minutes into the final qualifying session, seemed to have ruined his chances. But he got back into his scratched and dirty leathers, shrugged off the pain in his hands, and returned to the action after his crew had discovered the bike could be rebuilt and qualified in pole position. Peter Oertel was 3rd fastest, but then unable to race. The German had crashed the Marlboro Aprilia Echo machine in the second qualifying session, just after regaining 3rd place on the leaderboard, badly breaking his left arm in this spill. Hirochika Aoki, the sensational Japanese racer, just 19 years old at the end of May, was 2nd fastest on the Blumex Honda, just 0.015 of a second slower than Sakata. The teenager was in fact fastest on Friday, and though working hard to improve suspension on Saturday, lost out to Sakata for pole position within the closing stages of the session. 3rd place on the grid went to another Japanese ace, Akira Sato, on his Dock Shop Honda, despite a spill on Saturday morning. With Oertel out, it let Nobuo Ueda onto the front row of the grid on the GV Racing Honda. Staggeringly, Nobby didn't crash on either Friday or Saturday. But he did have the occasional scare like this excursion over the curb. The Spaniard, Emilio Alzamora, was on row 2 on the Scott Racing Honda. Defying all the odds, he didn't crash in practice either. Next to him was Tomomi Monaco on the FCC Technical Sports Honda, 7th fastest. There were 22 125 crashes, and Masaki Tokudome managed to clock up 2 of these spills. This is just one of his get-offs from the Team Ditta Plastic Honda. He escaped injury both times and went on to take 8th place on the final practice leaderboard. The fans turned up to watch this year's German Grand Prix with 4 days of thrilling action from Thursday to Sunday on the bill. With tight championship battles at the top of the 250 and 500 classes and the absolute certainty of thrilling racing in the 125s, the scene was set for non-stop entertainment. The competitors on the grid then for the 250cc race, a packed house for the German Grand Prix, 25 laps ahead of the field, and this is how they will line up. Biaggi in pole position, then Waldmann, Harada and Bale. Okada, Marcelino, Ruggier and Checker completing the second row of the grid. It's the all clear. The man with the red flag moves off. It's eyes on those traffic lights. They go from red to green, and the charge is on. A great start from Max Biaggi. Good start too from Tetsuya Harada, but an absolutely amazing start from number 19, Olivier Jacques, the teammate to Jean-Philippe Ruggier in the Elf Honda squad, into the tight right and left. That's the first corner on the Nürburgring circuit. Biaggi at the head of the field, but look at that, Olivier Jacques there, Harada in third place, and Ralph Fallmann, to the delight of the crowd, in fourth spot. Biaggi out in front. He said he's going to use some soft compound tyres to try to make an early break. He could pay the penalty for that in the closing stages. Biaggi leads then. It's Olivier Jacques, then Tetsuya Harada, then Ralph Fallmann, then Jean-Philippe Ruggier up into fifth position. But no sign at the moment of Jean-Michel Bayle, who qualified on the front row of the grid. Biaggi then still being shadowed by Olivier Jacques. And it certainly was an excellent start. No signs of cheating at the start. Look at this. Fallmann coming under pressure from Ruggier. Then Okada up there going well. But Fallmann will want to start climbing higher if he can. Germans won't like him back there in fourth place. Under pressure from Ruggier. And the pack beginning to spread up quite a lot. There's Kenny Roberts Jr. He qualified 10th, but a little bit further back than that at the moment, I suspect. Biaggi, in the meantime, setting the pace. There he is, chin on the tank, and the pack beginning to close up. Okada goes up a position. Okada on the move, but Biaggi is the man out in front. And look at that, he's breaking clear of the chasing pack. The reigning world champion going, and Fallmann on the inside of Harada, but doesn't go through. Olivier Jacques still there in second place, the young Frenchman, then being pushed all the way by Harada and Fallmann. And while this battle goes on, and we're watching now from Ralph Waldmann's motorcycle, these three scrapping it out for second, third and fourth, and Biaggi disappearing all the time. Biaggi quickest in practice, and he's just streaking away from the opposition. Olivier Jacques there. What a great start. This is his first season of 250cc racing, and he really is making a big name for himself. Can he hang on to a top three place? He's in second position at the moment, number 19. But Harada beginning to put the pressure on, and Tetsuya Harada looking for the inside line. He's on the better line going into this left-hander, and the experienced Harada, the 1993 world champion, goes up a place. Well, he's getting fairly desperate, and Olivier Jacques loses another place, or does he? Yeah, Fallmann goes through, so Jacques slipping back from second place to fourth. Harada and Fallmann now have got ahead of him, but it's still been a great performance. And look at this, Olivier Jacques not being dropped off. The Frenchman hanging on to the rear tyre of Waldmann. Well, Waldmann up into third place now. And Waldmann was second in qualifying, remember. There's the race leader. Biaggi out in front. Then number 7, Harada. 28 is Waldmann. 19 is Jacques. And number 2, Okada. And Waldmann trying to get to grips, closing on Harada. They can neither afford to let Biaggi get too clear. And Fallmann got a bit of a slide on coming into the corner. Oh, another big slide, and down he goes. Ralph Fallmann crashes out of the German Grand Prix. And the hero of the crowd here at the Nürburgring is out of the race. So, suddenly, that leaves Harada in second place, and a real battle going on for third spot now. Jean-Philippe Ruggier has moved up, and here's Kenny Roberts Jr. Behind them is Olivier Jacques. So the Elf Honda machines, the full factory job for Jean-Philippe Ruggier, and the standard production thing for Olivier Jacques. In that scrap, number 2 is Okada, and further back is Jean-Michel Bayle, who's beginning to make up ground. And Kenny Roberts, who qualified 10th, and we caught a glimpse of him well down the field, has really made a charge up through the pack. And he is going one side, then the other. He's on the inside, has to drop back. And perhaps that was a wise move, because Jean-Philippe Ruggier from Toulon is a bit of a tough cookie. You don't mess around with him. And here's Luis Carlos Morel, the Spaniard, unceremoniously dumping his Honda, and he's out of the German Grand Prix. Back with the battle for third place, still Rougier, then Kenny Roberts Jr., Okada, and Jean-Michel Bayle. Olivier Jacques dropping further and further back. I suspect it could be a tyre problem for him. So two separate battles going on. Biaggi out in front, Harada a long way back. Then the scrap a little bit further back between Rougier and Kenny Roberts, and then this battle between Okada and that former motocross world champion Jean-Michel Bayle. Oh, and the dirt get kicked up, and Kenny Roberts has run onto the grass, and he'll lose an awful lot of ground. He has. He's dropped back at least 2 places, and that surely will have unnerved the young Californian. So it's Rougier on his own in third place, but Okada getting closer, number 2, then Jean-Michel Bayle, and trying to recover his composure is Kenny Roberts Jr. And look at this, Kenny Roberts Jr. is back on the rear tyre of Jean-Michel Bayle. Well, what a remarkable performance from Kenny Roberts, the youngster, the son of Kenny Roberts, the legendary King Kenny, making big inroads into the top flight of the 250 class this year. Hit by injury in 1994, but making up for that with all-action style. Looks for the inside. Bayle has closed the door, though. And Kenny Roberts must just hang on a moment or two to try to claim a couple of the places he lost with that excursion onto the grass at the chicane. But he's pressurising Jean-Michel Bayle, there's no doubt of that. Roberts qualified 10th, Bayle qualified 4th, and it's Roberts who looks the favourite to go ahead at this moment in time. Kenny Roberts, part of the Wayne Rainey team, looks for the inside line, and Bayle just has to pick up the motorcycle, and that probably unnerved the Frenchman. And look at this, Kenny Roberts now right on the rear tyre of Okada, and Okada pushing Rougier all the way into the left-hander. Okada thinks about going through on the inside. Kenny Roberts doesn't just think, he does it. And Kenny Roberts, at the same place that he went onto the grass, has gone up another place. He's gone past Bayle, he's gone past Okada, he's back exactly where he was, but he's learnt an object lesson, I'm sure. Rougier in third place, number 6, 25, Kenny Roberts Jr., and he's going to go through again. He's on the inside. Well, what a tremendous performance from Kenny Roberts Jr., KRJR at his very best. Back with the race leader. The gap was at one stage over 10 seconds. It's come down quite a lot. He's been able to ease off, and it's going to be a celebration. Well, it may be tough at the top of the 250cc World Championship, but just take a look at the top of the 500cc table. It really is beginning to hot up, and some fine performances here at the Nürburgring. Loris Capirossi once again on the front row of the grid. Daryl Beattie going so well. He leads the championship at the moment, of course. And the Lucky Strike Suzuki man right on form. Luca Cadalora beginning to show his best form as well. He second quickest in practice, just half a second behind the pole setter. But this man, Mick Doohan, in trouble. He broke his finger in practice, but he's still there in pole position. Next to him, Cadalora, Beattie and Capirossi. Then Reggiani, Ito, Barros and Puig, Crevilla, Abe, Migliorati and Bussard on row 3. Alberto Puig and Luca Cadalora now battling for third position. And Cadalora looking for the inside line, can't do it. Alberto Puig just a little bit braver on the Fortuna Honda Pons machine. Cadalora, though, going really well this weekend. Back to his old form. Oh, and that's Andrew Stroud going down in a big heap. That really was a nasty high side for the New Zealander. And now Michael Doohan has caught up with Daryl Beattie. And, well, I thought for a minute he was going to storm through on the inside on this downhill run. Changed his mind. They've already caught a tail ender. That's Pedicini, who's had problems with the motorcycle all weekend. That's not his normal form. But they've caught him very early and lapped him very quickly. Daryl Beattie the leader, but Michael Doohan is on the prowl. The world champion who trails by just 4 points in the championship battle now has got Daryl Beattie in his sights, Another lap goes into the book, and Daryl Beattie on the Lucky Strike Suzuki striving to keep ahead of the Repsol Honda, but Michael Doohan's on the inside, and surely he goes to the front now. He does. Beattie could do nothing about that, and Michael Doohan goes ahead for the first time in this race. Beattie there, still with him though. Cadalora kicking up the dirt behind them in third place. Alberto Puig there in fourth position. So Doohan in the lead. Daryl Beattie chasing him, trying to put the pressure on. And Doohan, of course, very much injured, won't have painkillers. He doesn't believe in them, said he didn't take them when he had his badly broken leg, won't take them now. He's got a mere badly broken finger. So the Australian, the hard man, out in front, fellow Australian Daryl Beattie in second place. And Beattie refusing to give in, closes the gap. Cadalora not that far away. Alberto Puig, well, dropping back just a little bit in the fight for third position. And Doohan coming under more and more pressure from Daryl Beattie. Beattie closing. He picked it up, sorted it out. And on a meeting when so many people have crashed, that was good. And Doohan goes through to regain the lead. He's recovered from that moment, and Daryl Beattie pushed back to second place again. Beattie thought about diving through on the inside of the next left-hander. The very fast, flat-out in top left-hander down the hill. Decided not to do it. And Michael Doohan is back in command. There's Beattie, and we caught a glimpse of Luca Cadalora in the background, and down goes Doohan. He's crashed for the second time this weekend, and consternation in the Repsol Honda team. They cannot believe it, and I'm sure Michael Doohan can't either. He's on his feet, he's unhurt, shakes his head. Well, a gesture of complete disgust. Whether that's with the bike, the tyres, himself, or the track, we shall not know. But Michael Doohan disgusted and out of the race. And this man leads Beattie out in front. Luca Cadalora inherits second place. Alberto Puig, then it's 65, Loris Capirossi. 7, Shinichi Ito. Then 6, Alex Crevilla. 9, Alex Barros, the Brazilian. Well, they've closed together. This could turn into a bit of a ding-dong scrap. And this is the view from the on-bike camera of Alex Barros as he chases that group ahead of him. And the Brazilian could do with a back full of points here. Back with the race leader, the Suzuki, snaking a bit, but everything under control. Cadalora still there in second spot. Alberto Puig number 5, and Shinichi Ito on the move. He's on the inside of Capirossi, and Loris Capirossi can do nothing about it. Has to give way to the Japanese rider. Well, he's back with a beautiful slow motion look at the riding style of Daryl Beattie. Back with the battle a little bit further back, and Alex Crevilla now has gone ahead of Loris Capirossi, and he's in chase after fellow Repsol Honda man Ito. Of course, the number 1 man in the Repsol Honda squad. Mick Doohan out of the race. And Inichi really is very quick, perhaps the quickest man out on the circuit at the moment. And Crevilla in tow, not letting his teammate get away. And back with the leader. And a big wheelie there from Cadalora behind. Daryl Beattie was 4 points ahead of Mick Doohan. He'll add another 25 if he can get safely to the checkered flag. And this is the rear-facing camera on Alex Barros' bike. Behind him is Norik Abe. Well, a good battle there. Cadalora still second, number 5 Puig still third. But look at this, Ito getting closer and closer. Crevilla up there as well. And Daryl Beattie just putting in the laps. A lonely ride out in front. But further back it's turning into a good scrap, because Cadalora, who seemed a secure second place man, is about to be visited by Shinichi Ito. And Ito would like to make amends for crashing while leading the Japanese Grand Prix, and he's got Cadalora firmly in his sights. Cadalora on the Yamaha, Ito on the Honda, and the Honda just pulls out of the slipstream, winds up the wick, and Ito goes up into second place. Cadalora pushed back to third position. Now, can Ito get close to Daryl Beattie, we ask? He caught Cadalora very quickly and got ahead of him very easily. And here's the scrap with Crevier now ahead of Alberto Puig. So that all-Spanish battle raging a little bit further back. And Alberto Puig has not really been happy here at the Nürburgring. A shadow of the man who won at Jerez. This is the battle for second spot, and Cadalora not being shaken off by the high-flying Japanese man. Ito caught him quickly, got past him very easily, but shaking him off is another matter. Cadalora, of course, very, very experienced. He's been around a long time. And he's hanging on to Ito as they dice it out for second position. And as we go through the closing laps, Cadalora will be working out a strategy, a plan of campaign. But what his tactics are, only he knows. Ito then, still in second place. Beattie a long way clear. He's not going to catch Daryl Beattie unless Beattie has some problems. And now beginning to stretch a gap again over Cadalora. Crevier there, just a bit further back, and Alberto Puig. And still this battle rages between Alex Barros, who's lost a toe with that group, and Norik Abe. And Beattie getting mixed up in slower traffic now. Ito still under pressure from Cadalora, and Crevier and Albert Puig are getting closer to the two men dicing it out for second and third place. Are we in for a four-rider battle? And some more great slow-motion stuff showing these men and these machines at work. Those eyes staring down the track, and at the moment they're staring at the back wheel of Shinichi Ito. And a good scrap still going on behind between Crevier and Alberto Puig. And Cadalora, surely he's not going to go around the outside. No, he's just taking a wide line. Alberto Puig thinking about the inside line as he dices with Crevier. So Cadalora still pushing. Oh, and a big moment there for Crevier. He tries to stay ahead of Alberto Puig. And the crowd on the natural bankings here at the Nürburgring lapping up every moment in this 500cc race. We've had lots of drama so far. Is there more drama in store? Cadalora content, or perhaps unable to do anything about going from third to second. Maybe it's going to be a last lap charge. But Ito has a quick motorcycle and he's a very good rider. Surely he'll be ready for whatever Cadalora has in mind. And this cat and mouse game goes on for second position. Beattie is still a long way clear, looking good. Cadalora closes again, comes down the hill. This is flat out. The left-hander's still flat out as well, a really quick part of the circuit. Now, will he have a go here now? Not this time. Cadalora has to ease off, and Ito takes a nervous glance, that looked to me, over his shoulder. Cadalora still breathing down his neck. Back with the race leader, Daryl Beattie, leading the World Championship comfortably. More slower traffic in the way. That's Bruno Bonnuy, the Frenchman, about to go a lap down. He's been passed by the race leader. Now Ito and Cadalora will have to get past him. Bruno is a real French gentleman, and now he's going to wait for Crevier and Puig to go past as well. If only all the tail-enders were so thoughtful. Ito then just hanging on to second place by just 2 or 3 machines length, stretches the lead in some parts, and then the gap comes down again as Cadalora is just a little bit quicker or a little bit better at some part of the circuit. And Crevier hanging on to 4th place from Alberto Puig. And Cadalora still thinking about that move to come. Will it be on the last lap? Will it be on the penultimate lap? Only Cadalora knows. And there they are again, close together. And Cadalora's got it weighed up. He's on the inside. And Ito could do nothing about it. Cadalora was ready, and Ito tries to go back on the inside, and Cadalora slams the door in his face. It was a last lap manoeuvre then by Cadalora. He'd been biding his time, and Luca Cadalora, the cunning Italian, is going to hang on to second place. There's Daryl Beattie, the winner, over the line, but surely it is going to be Cadalora who takes second place, and he does. And Ito will be bitterly disappointed there in third place. Crivilla wheels over the line. He hangs on to fourth position ahead of Alberto Puig, but Daryl Beattie's done it again. Confirmation of the result: Beattie, Cadalora, Ito, Crivilla and Puig, the top five. Capirossi, Barros, Abe, Reggiani and Borja in 10th spot. The young Spaniard, again best of the privateers. But it's this man's Grand Prix. Daryl Beattie taking advantage of another mistake from Michael Doohan. And Luca Cadalora has got something to smile about as well. He's back on form. And Shinichi Ito can smile a little bit, although I'm sure he's disappointed to be only third.
Yeah, today turned out good for us. You know, before the race we were deciding on what tyres we're going to use, and you know, in the end we finished up going for a harder tyre, front and rear, and you know, it all turned out well for us. You know, the race was made a lot easier with Mick coming off, and you know, it made it a little bit easier on me. And you know, it looked like it was going to be tough there, and you know, it's the way it goes.
It was a hard race. At the beginning, I tried to be closer to Beattie and Mick Doohan, but really I cannot catch them, and so I was trying to keep some gap between the other guy back to me, like Puig before, and then Ito. But one time I went straight in the chicane, in the small chicane, and I lost, sure, 1 second or more, and Ito passed me. And the only thing for me was to try to pass him again in the last lap.
Luca beat me on the right corner, just before the final straight. I thought he was going to try and get me at the chicane, but he got me earlier than I expected, and I'm very disappointed that he did that to me.
What is the feeling? The feeling is not too good.
Do you know exactly what happened, how it went?
Yeah, the front tyre just let go, and I crashed. There wasn't much else I can really say. It was one thing what I didn't think was going to cause me any problem. I put it in there, and midway through the corner, the tyre just let go, and I crashed. I just don't know what the problem is.
Due to the championship, well, Beattie now on 99, 29 ahead of Doohan. Alberto Puig third, then Cadalora and Crivilla.